Yeah, go ahead. Hit it. This is the hard part right here, getting all three of you guys in this view.
Do you have a piece of paper so I can pen myself?
Yes, give me 1 second,
Okay,
please.
I'm sorry. I always bring a notepad.
That's a piece of paper.
This is going to be hard, Nairobi, but I'm going to try it.
That don't necessarily have to be in it. They can hear me just like they hear your voice.
So this is going live, guys. Y'all might want to say hello. I'm going to sit around and tell everybody who the guest is. Everybody, how y'all just Uncle Joe Kelly in the building doing my thing. Today we got a special event going on. As y'all know, this Passion in Poetry, Happy Hour Live 757. And the one and only Nairobi MVP is in the building doing her thing. So we decided to do this show because we want to touch topics on the reality of the world. So if you're out there and you can see us, please give us a thumbs up. Let us know. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at Passion and Poetry 79. That's passion _in_.poetry 79 on Instagram. Or you can follow us on Facebook at Happy Hour Live 757. Or personally, if you want to reach out to me and follow me on my page, it's Joseph Kelly on Facebook. And if you're out there and you're looking at this, you actually go to Facebook, Joseph Kelly right now, and tune into the show live right here in the studio. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and announce the special guest. Again, this is the infamous Uncle Joe. Nairobi, tell him what you do, girl. Tell him what you do. Tell him what you do. See how she always try to play like that?
No. Yep, this is Nairobi the Poet. Passion in Poetry, you guys. You know that we hold an open mic every second and third Thursday. We move it to what, Joe?
Fridays
coming the new year, every second and fourth Friday of the month. So hopefully you guys will make it out there. And I'm just excited about this show that we're getting ready to start today, Joseph.
You are? Why are you so excited about this?
Because I feel like this is a topic that needs to be there. We should have had this topic. We should have had this topic on BET, MTV, VH1.
The way you said,
my name is Elihu Jones, known as Junior. Just have a lot of thoughts on it. Really interested in the topic, actually. I got some opinions.
Oh yeah?
I'm interested in the conversation to see how it's going to go.
Yeah, me too.
I'm trying to be respectful about everything, right? But
You right,
I'm
Joe.
passionate
This is a
about
safe
this.
place.
No, I actually like unsafe places.
That's where you at. You're in an unsafe place today.
I'm better in the unsafe place.
He's walking on ice today.
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living?
So currently I'm a software developer for Amazon. My original background is in nuclear engineering. Mostly I've lived half overseas, half in the United States. So I got an eclectic background, I think. And,
Junior is a very interesting person.
So if I was to ask you, where was your dream for the world? What would you express your dream for the world to be?
Kind of like really to be nicer, but also to toughen the hell up too, right?
You right?
Like no one gives a damn about your feelings when you gotta eat. No one.
Tell him, Junior.
Right?
Tell him, preach.
So I mean, I come from. I was not a farmer. To make that crystal clear. My family calls me city, right? But I spent a lot of my summers on a farm and you learn some very practical things about life.
We gonna go into depth of that. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Junior in the building. So we got this next young lady sitting right next to, I think I would say to the left side of Junior. And I've met her before. She's a sweetheart. She's definitely a sweetheart. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, young lady?
Yes, I am Arleme Malone, and I am the founder of READ, Rejuvenating Excellence and Accomplishing Dreams. And that's an organization that was founded to ensure that Black female women understood their power and that their possibilities are boundless. So I'm all about empowering and uplifting.
So that's what it's about today.
They got me.
So I'm gonna go ahead and break loose and get right to the nails and bones. This show is actually called Nigga. All right. So if I haven't looked at the topic or the lead of it, but my idea was this: is let's go in depth. Like let's really talk about nigga. Let's talk about it because we hear it all the time. So why not talk about it? Like I think that's the lower I'm gonna open up the forum, and I guess we can start off with asking questions, because I will say what it means to me, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll just spread around and let y'all, then we'll just start having conversations about if it's fair with everybody. But the word nigga to me really doesn't have a value weight no more. And that's because I came from the 60s. I was actually born in 64. And I've seen that word go through revolutionary statements.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it in the 70s when it really meant power. I had a young lady the other night at our open mic that said the word nigga to me, and then she gave me a different look on how I really looked at it. When she said it, it made sense to how I look at it. It's one thing to call me a nigga. It's another thing if you say my nigga. Because you say my nigga to me, then that must mean I let you inside to be close enough to me to talk to me that way. But if you call me a nigga, I don't care if you're black, white, pink, or brown. Depending on what's going on, there might be a transaction of money, but we're about to get it in. You know what I mean? That's the reality. But that's just my personal view of it. So I'm gonna let Nairobi go. Everybody out, let's just spread that, and then we can have that conversation. So Nairobi, where's your point in it?
Hello, Joseph Kelly. Because of who my father was and what he taught me sitting at them dinner tables when I was coming up in the 80s and the early 90s. I don't like the word used by too many. And at first, of course, in my younger ages, listening to the music that I came up with, I felt like it was cool, you know, for us to use it. Because I feel like we took that word back as we always did. We took those lemons, as I said in one of my poems, we took the lemons that they always gave us and we turned it into lemonade. So it became something that was like a term of endearment, like saying my guy or my dude, you know, we just took that back. But now, and seeing like the propaganda and the agenda, I think it's just time for all of us to retire the word. I get irritated even if it's someone of the other, because to me, how it was used towards us from the other kind, and I know it means ignorant and all that, but it's almost like we've been whipped with that word, and now I look at it as it's not a term of endearment. It's a term that we are just so used to calling each other, because if you think about, you know, even with movies, like even with movies, you know, you can see the field nigga get mad at the house nigga, and they feel like, oh, that nigga think he better than me. So it was a word that they just heard and was whipped into them for so long that I feel like that's why it's been passed down to us, because of it being whipped and whipped and whipped and whipped. So thing that said some slaves didn't even know their name. They just knew themselves by nigga. So to me, I don't like anybody using it. And my niece, we talked this morning, I told her what this show was about, and she said the same thing. She said it gets under my skin when she hear rappers just constantly use it. And it's almost, to me, they're putting it in the music just to remind us of who we are. And how they look at us, you still a nigga. You got cars, you got jewelry, you're famous, you just stand the third, but you still our nigga. Working for us.
I see your view in it. I see your view. We're going to pass around the room, and then we're going to go back to touching topics. All right, Mr. Junior, what's your point? What's your point with that word?
I mean, it's so I have a military background, so the people that you are close with, you say the most vile things to, right? Like, that's a normal thing, right? But when using a term, like, I'll tell you an example. I was talking a little earlier with you. I was like, I use the word cunt like people say chips, right?
You better not say that to a woman.
But
Say that shit, especially to a white woman.
Listen. I told you before. I genuinely, and I'm telling you the unadulterated truth, that she even understands how I talk.
That shit can, fellas, listen to this show. That shit can get you put on the couch outside the backyard. Do not use the word cunt.
So people, but how I use it is like literally, like if I'm talking to someone that doesn't have any sense, right? Like men, women, so I understand my word. I don't like the term. I'm not saying the N-word. I don't say the N-word, but I call it the N-word, right? And the reason why I say that is, or do not say that rather, is I use everything in hyperbole. Like, if I'm sitting in a room, and because I got cousins that light me up with it and talking, they're like, just sit down, right? But we're talking, right? But that's how we grew up. We know each other, just like you were describing. However, what I use is hyperbole to try to explain whether something's okay or right. The most extreme case, I was like, Now, if it's myself, my cousin, a black guy I know, and a white guy I know, that's how we talk. If he says that, if my cousin says the N-word to me, how's this going? He's going to be. I won't be comfortable using that word or having it used with me in front of mixed company, right? Mm-hmm. And then if we switch it, and they both know me, and now this white guy comes in and he drops with the N-word, I'm gonna have to grab my cousin to keep him from taking his head off, right? And so whether it's okay in certain situations or not, I try to avoid it because it is undeniably a powerful word that's been used. And I don't mean slavery. I don't mean Jim Crow, right? Mm-hmm. We can take it to 6 months ago or 3 months ago, or that term is used in the wrong capacity. It's a powder keg. It is an atom bomb. It's gonna blow up, and that's gonna kick off a whole slew of problems. So what I try to do is avoid it for that reason, right? I don't judge, but that's why I try to say, okay, let's leave it alone, because in mixed company, it will always be, what did you mean before I take your head off, right? So that's how I look at it. It's not about judging, because like I said, I use the word, the cunt word, and that means to me, it means can't understand.
Junior will get y'all killed.
It means can't understand normal things, not that. That's how I use it. I've been using it since I was 15.
He got an acronym for that shit.
That's how
he got an acronym for that shit.
So I do this.
So, ladies, when I call you a cunt, I want you to understand.
That just means you don't understand normal things. It ain't nothing personal. I ain't trying to degrade women.
Wow! We got a whole acronym for it.
That's Judy. I told y'all was gonna find him on your.
Like I said, I'm not.
All right, so we're gonna pass this around like I said, everybody expressing themselves. Ms. Arleme, let's find out what the way that word means to you.
I see it as a double entendre. It depends on, like you said, the situation. I'm not that cool with the word at all. When I hear it, I cringe. When I hear it, it is cringe-worthy. I know a lot of people have gotten very complacent and very comfortable with it, and it's in their everyday discussion. But there are other words in the English language that we can utilize besides that has a better meaning for what they're trying to say. And I just feel like that's a word that should not be used at all. And because we've gotten so lackadaisical with the term, it makes other people more emboldened to use it as well. And they don't come with the same quote-unquote love behind it. It's not that term of endearment. It is something a little more sinister.
That's a great point. I don't mean to cut you off. I hit thoughts. So the covert part of it is what makes it so difficult, especially in this day and age, right? Is this guy being cool? Because I don't know if he's being guy or gal. This person being cool. I don't know if they're being cool because I don't know them like that. But they're using words. You know, so they need to spend brain power to figure out what it is and what it means. Like in South Africa, they used. I don't know if you guys know the K word they use, right? But it's called kafir, right? It is the exact definition. It's translated. It is the N word, right? But so I'm not saying they should outlaw it like they did, but in South Africa they outlawed it, and it's the culture, the rough side, and everything. They don't use the word anymore, right? Because
I think they do. I think the thing about like foreign rules in a lot of places, they have laws that they stick by.
Right.
And they will use the justice system to hold against you if you go against that law.
Right.
And I understand that.
I'm not with making laws.
My thing is that word has made millionaires and made billionaires.
Yeah,
like literally in our community. Yeah. Literally, like how do you tell? How do you justify something that's making me a millionaire? Yeah. That I'm like this podcast channel. I can literally make a show and put it around that and do some funny things and act out for what? Because is there a definition of the word that really means anything that really suits to a human being? Not really.
Right.
Not really. Like really, if you really look at the case of it. It's been used so often by our own culture first, for the most part, because the only history we got about it is from what our forefathers put in front of us, like she was just saying, from what her grandmother and her father and mother. The defeat of that word stopped in the 70s, to be honest with you. If you grew as old as I am, the defeat of that word stopped amongst blacks in the 70s. With the Black Panther Party got moved out of the way and things started slowing down, and they so-called started giving us equal rights in the late 70s going into the 80s. But us as a culture took that word on almost to justify that's how we talk amongst the community.
Right.
And it didn't flip, because now we're in the 20th century and we got white people out here calling themselves that word, and they living by it like it's a cool thing.
That's a real
Or they
thing.
calling us, or they saying it to us, because
Well, I mean,
goes
I grew up with a white boy that lived in my community, and he lived in a black community.
Yeah.
What else is he gonna say? Like, it's very hard for you to say it's offensive to a situation to where that's what you're raised around.
Oh no, 100%, right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the reality. If I took your children out of their situation and brought them over into a white family, brought them up in Beverly Hills and put them up on the top of the hill, either they're gonna fit in or they're not gonna fit
I
in.
mean, I understand that part, but I'm saying, like, you ride through the community that Samira goes to school with, which is Western Branch. Junior U really.
I mean, I've been there, yeah.
We're talking about those kids
Right.
walking the hallways, saying,
Yeah.
my nigga.
Well,
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, because
But-
Y'all serving,
because
like, why?
because look what they see, just like your kids see on TV. Here's a guy like 50 Cent, or here's a guy like Blueface.
Oh yeah,
They
it's
saying the word making $1 million. Why would I be saying the word? They want to make $1 million too.
and I think that's exactly. There's no history. It's reduced in power because there's no history.
But
But in the same token, like, what I tell kids too, like, oh, why would you get mad? It's the same history that's brought down to you, like when you get mad when a white kid says it and you know what he means, like the bad part of it. Right? So I ask them, like, well, why are you mad? Because I try to pride myself on this. Kiba knows this. If it's gonna be me and you trading words, you'll get mad way before I get mad. Like, if we're going back and forth, because you have to condition yourself like that. I mean, I grew up like those elite kids. I tried to hide it my whole life. Well, if you obviously can't hear how I talk, but my point is, I grew up like those kids. And I know what it's like to be like, you're uncertain your entire childhood. Like, man, I gotta say it here with my cousins and other black folks around, but I don't say it. And they better not say it when I'm with the white folks, right? So it's interesting. It's a good justification.
But I feel like it's because when it comes to, and I understand you saying listening to the music, but for me it's because we've allowed it.
No, it's not even the music. It's not even music.
I mean, it's not, I'm just saying a lot of the service.
Music is only one
It is,
little
but I'm
facet of it.
I'm just using it as an example. It's because we've allowed it.
I wouldn't necessarily.
Because I'm gonna give you an example. When IHOP was on Military Highway, close by, like going to the airport.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is when I'm in my early 20s. So times was a little different back then. Right? So this was like after the club. So you can imagine, it was like we used to turn that IHOP into another IHOP. So it's all these black guys and black girls, me and my cousins and friends, we getting out of the car, and there's a white girl. As when we would have called her a wigger. Okay? If you understand what I'm saying.
Just a white nigga.
So she was fussing with her boyfriend, and he's black. And her friends are standing off. And she got loud, like all of us be going into IHOP. You would have thought it was a movie. If it was a record, it would have said, you would have heard this.
Yeah.
She called him, she was like, whatever, nigga. And it was like everybody just back then, we stopped in our tracks like.
And they said, shit.
And her friends saw everybody's face, and it was like, she's just drunk. But it was like back then we won't go like.
Not my point, but the point is very well made. Like, that is the hyperbole I'm talking about. Like, it's mixed company, and now her best friend who knows, like, oh, well, it's just her, the dude and the girl. When it's the three of them, like, oh, she's just mad, keep talking. But now when that black girl has, I had to be this person myself. Like, hey, do not kill the person you just heard that from, right? He doesn't know he shouldn't be using that. So what I'm saying is, I don't know if it's right or wrong anymore.
Here's the point to that. Here's the point to that. All right, what happened there? Something about YouTube's not responding. That's just the studio, but I'm good with that. So here's my point with that, because I've been through that before.
Yep.
Right, I've been in a relationship like that before, and the relationship where I was dating outside of my race.
And he called you a nigga.
And hold on, let me explain it to you.
You're not right now.
Let me explain something to you, right? Let me explain something to you. The craziness is when a person of either race think that they can be comfortable enough to call you that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's the same. So when you're in an interracial relationship, you have to respect certain boundaries. And if a person's not willing to respect, and it kills me today how many black women tells me it's all about boundaries, it's all about boundaries. But some of the I've had a white person disrespect me in a certain type of white woman, but I've had black women disrespect the black male race for years under certain things that had to include that. That nigga must be out of his fucking mind. I'll slap the shit out of his black ass. Like, so.
That's a whole.
That's a whole nother
That's a
conversation.
whole other thing.
But
Please invite me back for that one, 'cause
that's
I
the way. That's the way to the.
that.
That's the way to the word. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's the way to the word.
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen the same thing you've seen. I've seen like the school thing you brought up about the kids at school.
Yeah.
It's not only the music. It's I just saw a YouTube video the other day with this black boy beating this little white boy, punching him in the face, beating the shit out of him, saying, "Nigga, you lost your." And he beating the white boy, saying that to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's embedded. It's like almost embedded. And believe it or not, this country had a time at one time they went. And I know you remember it. The government went and put the word up on the table to where they should be able to use the word socially or not. Mm-hmm. And they downed it. They didn't do nothing about it. Just left it sitting there. We never heard nothing about it. But then still we go down to Virginia Beach. If you go down to Virginia Beach and you say, fuck, you will give the ticket. I'll tell you that right now.
What's $75 a couple years ago?
You get what I'm saying?
Pay it. Yeah.
But you can't put the state can't put no rules on the word nigga.
Right.
Because it's a violation of one's human rights to some others. But because tourists come here and spend a lot of money, us cussing out at the beach is a violation of one human's rights. Mm-hmm. So they can come up with a rule for that. So that goes to show you, like, that's why when you say we, it's not about a we.
Right.
We our anarchy is the government. Yeah. And that's how this world is ran by. We have a right to go and vote. How many of us do that? We have a right to speak up as a people. How many of us do that? And you know as big as I am, as everybody in this room, if you get to know me, you know I'm a big conflict. I'm fighting the government every step of my life, like every moment, throughout my whole day. Everything I'm doing is what I think. I'm not saying physically fighting the government for all the right reasons the government is put in place. I'm fighting the government for all the wrong reasons it's being put in place. Which leads us up to me, the word nigga is no different from saying somebody has, when the person, back when I was a kid, and there was a certain bunch of kids that didn't catch on like that, and everybody called them retarded and just picked on them all the time. It was the same thing. The only difference is we went from seeing us getting beat up and lashed out and slave owners doing it to where now the very culture that was using us as slave owners are actually having fun with our word, and actually something they used to call us, they want to make millions with it too.
It's like this rap was so dope. Because basically he was talking, that's a whole nother topic. But the topic that he was talking about, he was like, it's no different from them getting off the boat and giving us the blankets, giving them the blankets that cause them to get the disease themselves.
Right, disease and all that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he said, it's not a physical blanket that they give us. It's more of a mental blanket that they give us that keeps us diseased. And that word, I feel like, is one of those blankets that they have given us that has kept this disease going.
And to a sense, you're right. To very much so, since you're right. But again, my big thing is where does that word lie today? Because as much as we talk about it, we can get in a room and bring it up a million times and talk about it. Mm-hmm. But what weight does that word actually have today? When I literally can go show you 10 million videos right now where they all have made probably $20,000, $100,000 or more.
But it's like what Junior just said. He said when he started talking and introducing himself, he said he's not going to even take it as far back as I did with slavery time and all of that. He said right here today. Mm-hmm. Right here today, I saw a video on TikTok where they were in a Wawa's and this white man got mad at this black girl. She was a worker simply telling him something that he did wrong, and he said, "You black, you unmurder."
Yeah.
So it's still way.
So here's how.
You never can get rid of the old. You can erase that. You can erase thinking about the people that, like, for instance, quick example of that, Junior, I'm going to let you say what you're going to say, but quick example of that, if I got a little boy in Minnesota somewhere, raised by a racist white man, like a little white boy raised by a racist white man, taught that, embedded in him, like it's embedded in him. He gets 18, never been out of that little city. Matter of fact, never went to a school, never socialized. He was taught at home everything he knows. and then I throw him in the Navy, and the first thing he walk in boot camp, and he got to bunk up with a whole bunch of brothers and Puerto Ricans and China for that boy. I've seen those boys. I've seen those kids. I've worked around those kids where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
It's a shocker for them. They're literally scared because they've been taught that as a race, we're all pimps and prostitutes and murderers and like
TV show stuff. Yeah.
and you got to wake up next to that. Now you being us being black people, imagine if we instill you. It's kind of like you got to go weigh yourself on that fence. Because if you instilled in your black kid that white people was a certain way, they would not be able to deal with society. How would they go to the bank and get an account?
Who was you going
Go ahead,
to
Julian.
No, so, I mean, you guys are making great points, right? And that in of itself. So okay, like it's not about using it or not using it. For me, like, quite honestly, right? I tell you this, for example, like I remember 11, 12 years old. My grandmother was in Alabama. We were on the farm for the summer. And I'm trying to fit in with my cousins from New York and other parts of the city, and they're N-word. All the blacks, all of us are saying, because I got a pretty eclectic family, right? So all of them are using the N-word. I'm like, oh, I guess I got to do this to fit in too. And I remember I said it, and my grandma's wooden spoon, back of the neck. And she explained to me, she goes, the thing that I think is missing, what I'm about to say, is that I was saying it to fit in, right? And I need to know what I need to fit in. Y'all are saying this, I'm saying this, right? That's how you learn how to speak, whatever area you're like, what do they say here? They say won't. I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? But that won't me. I was like, I don't know what you just said. But
What the fuck is wrong?
that took a long. I was like, well, I don't know what y'all are talking about. It's confusing as shit. Learn how to speak. But
Like fitting in fixes.
oh man, I was like, what? You fit in the what? Anyway, but what you're trying to fit in, and having a young men and women have no idea of the history, right? So my grandmother, and I'm fortunate to have those experiences with my parents too. She hit me with this spoon, and she went right back to cooking, and I had to go back in, get talked to. She never raised her voice, and she said, "You don't understand how your brother, or how your mother and father, your grandparents had to literally fight and live and die off having a respect, and knowing someone's going to come and retaliate. You do not use that word."
That's the responsibility.
And that's it.
That's it.
And I think that, and I'll tell you because it's an anecdotal experience. No one's telling these kids because it's impossible to show children today
That accountability.
what it means. Like,
They don't know. Their parents don't even know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it used to be. I used to always be able to say, we used to say, "Oh, that generation before us," and then you sit back and I'm 43. I'm that generation. Shit, I'm supposed to be saying these things, right? And these kids, they literally don't have. And I say kids, just people don't know. And even if they do, they don't care. But I tell you this, I say, if you're faced with life and death, and these people are saying these words, then that word means something, and you're not going to say it. And that's what I think.
The system strategically created communities
That's the
for that to
blanket.
be alive.
Exactly.
That's that blanket I'm talking about.
But that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying that's that blanket.
That's the rough part of it.
Right.
The society, government society, created communities for that word to stay alive within its own communities.
Right.
They're not letting go of it. It's being taught what that word means in the barrier. That's an individualistic thing.
Everything that we're saying is the blanket that I'm telling you. That it was created, that, like you said, the community, certain things within those community of that certain blankets that they gave out to those communities to keep us.
I'll put it to you this way, like how you're saying, this is, I'm pretty fortunate to know a lot of guys who've gone, I don't want to say fortunate, learn guys who've gone to prison, done serious time, done serious things themselves, and they've come out and they've made something out of themselves, right? Or they're still trying to. What I have seen almost axiomatically, 100% of the time, a guy who goes in and learns what real world consequences are at all times, and they come out and they survive, they may still say certain things, but they behave a different way. They're like, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm not going back to that jungle, right?
Yeah.
And they'll shovel shit if they have to, right? And my point is, that lesson oftentimes comes too late, and they have to experience the negative side of it, and there's nothing to show our culture now that, hey, this is the negative impact of what's happening. And I don't mean like, hey, the way you speak is effed up or messed up. I'm just, if you know better,
Do better.
then you will absolutely do better. And I don't mean like, hey, if you say the N-word that you're not doing better. I'm saying
mindset.
When you're put into a situation, I don't know if you guys ever been to those Jamestowns colonies or whatever.
Oh, yes, sir.
And listen, I'm telling you, I told the dude, I was like, motherfucker, you don't gotta do this. This is 2020.
That happened to me when I moved here. I moved here in '92.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm sitting here and this dude playing the slave and fucking churning butter, and I'm like, bitch ass motherfucker. It's an internal thing, and I'm sitting here and I'm like everyone's like, oh, tell us more. They just
Yo,
they're not even
crazy.
doing it negative, but they're saying things and they really don't even know how slaves talked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, what do you do because it records? But you sit there and it's not wrong that they're doing it accurate, historical, accurate, but everyone feels uncomfortable and they're not even using the N-word, right? And so what I'm saying is
that's like a verbal picture of it.
And what happens is
What they mean
when everyone comes out, and I mean, I've been there a dozen times with the military, just whatever, because I like history. I read quite a bit. What I'm saying is when you walk out of there, I'm talking about the dudes who drop the N-word all the time. They walk out there, man, motherfucker, did you see that shit? They'll sit there, they're like, how can they work there, right? And I go, like, they gotta eat just like you. But my point is, I always try to drill it home. They're like, man, you always trying to fucking teach somebody. I was like, you gotta think. If you feel this way now, it's an innocent, just talking about history. All they do, they're doing it really accurate. If you feel some kind of way, that means the word means more than what you're saying. I understand it doesn't have the power as it did then. I agree with you 100%. It is something different, right?
And it was crazy about you saying that. I don't know if I remember back in the 80s and 90s up in Williamsburg when you went to the McDonald's like to go to Busch Gardens. When you went to the McDonald's and the Burger King they had up there, it was sitting right off the road. I think it was $1.99. They made the employees wear like colonial suits. Like the employees wore white wigs, black guys. And I moved here from California. I moved here.
I know, you was like, what the
And the
hell?
camera just went down, but we'll just keep going.
Where you have like the elderly, women, church groups, whether Christian, Muslim, you need to have reformed prisoners come in and they have a group of 10. It's the only way any of this is going to change, right? Whether it's the lexicon of the culture, the attitude of the culture, anything. Like when the people who have the money, and they have a bunch of it, when they come to the like Dave Chappelle show, the black delegation, whatever, right? When you go to the black delegation, you gotta talk to the people who are. It's not just the doctors and the bourgeois, right? It's the doctors, the preachers, imams, the prisoners, the guys who got it or getting out, the youth, anything, right? And it's like, okay, what do y'all all need? And they come together because what happened? Our culture right now, the reason why we can't say, hey y'all, let's change using the N-word. Not necessarily, let's just reduce it. Not necessarily get away with it. Because I don't think you can't change it. That's like telling someone from New York to stop saying yo. Right? It ain't happening.
Stop wearing Timberlands.
Listen, those are the most useless shoes in the planet. Anyway.
You got to have a whole bunch of people in New York.
But my point is, it would be like taking that out or telling people from the South that, you can't have a donk, whatever. It's just not going to happen. So my point is, you have to have something to where everyone can shoot for a goal, and that does not exist, and that's why the culture is where it is. You can talk all day. I get on these soapbox and things what keeps laughing right now. You can talk all is so preyed upon because there's no one to protect, and no one's allowed to protect, and there's no plan to protect. And since there's no plan to protect, like you made a phenomenal point earlier I wanted to bring up where you're talking about everyone's so busy doing their own thing, surviving, they forget that they got to come back together. I'm telling you, the moment that kids realize, like, because I would have been using the N-word all day, not because I had some epiphany, it's because my, bless her soul, she's passed, but my grandmother hit me with a wooden spoon, and I remember her telling me, you don't remember this? And I'm like, oh. And then you start thinking. And it's like, I'm not judging my cousin for saying it, but I'm going to choose not to say it. And it builds off of that. And there's nothing in our culture right there, and that's what they want. They're dividing.
Right.
But the
we don't
most,
blame everybody.
So sorry for the tangent, but
Yeah, everybody's a product of their environment,
Right.
and if you don't know,
Yeah.
you don't know. But that goes back to, like you said, the collective. We have to be accountable for what we do.
Yeah.
So even if, like you were saying about the record industry, we don't hold the keys to that kingdom. And that's why it's acceptable to be done. We have to look at the end of the day, who's holding the purse strings. They want us to say that to each other. They want us to keep that perpetuated. So that's why I always say, remember we had the conversation when Colin Kaepernick came out and kneeling, and I was like, if we, who are the #1 consumers, got together and said for a month, we're not going to do this, do you know how people would sit up and take notice?
Yeah,
And how they would be like, what is it that you all need? But the fact that we continuously do, and we don't get anything in return, that's the sad part to me. And then to hear people, even young people, I took my grandson to school. Kids in elementary school are using that word. That should not be acceptable, especially in that environment. But again, when you don't know people's home life, some things are okay. It's a cultural experience.
I mean, just to chime in on what she was just saying, I was just watching, because I'm a YouTuber. I love to watch YouTube because I think YouTube was one of the smartest things that ever went up during COVID because it taught us as a culture how to be creative and take, like there's a lot of money being made off of YouTube right now about our culture because we use our minds and we build. But I was watching a storyline about these kids, these young girls in school singing Pound Town. Like how easy it is for a 4 or 5-year-old to know all the lyrics for Pound Town, but she came to say the ABC.
Or
because that's what mommy's playing in the car, and that's what mommy doing with her friends and friends. So, and it's kind of like, with all due, I love your grandmother. I gotta give your grandmother mad respect. Whoever the lady is, that's wonderful. I'm gonna break it down to you. The word is not racism. The word is just a word. It's not racism. It's not even a racist word. It's not racism at all. Racism is an act. And you don't need to use the word to act out racism. First of all.
You should say that again, because that's the thing I'm talking about. Like that, people need to sit and think about.
Yeah, racism is definitely an act. Like I'm from the 60s. I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana. If Jim Crow was close, he was real close to me. Guaranteed. Like really close to me, right? But
Close to me,
I've always saw racism as an act. I've had to deal with racism and we all will. We all will. White and black. We all gonna have to deal with the act of racism, whether we like it or not. It's just a natural thing that happens on this earth. You know what I mean? I'm a single dad. I raised a young man upstairs. One, he don't use the N-word. He barely curses. If you do hear him curse, you hear him curse in the privacy of his own structure. So if he does use the N-word, he does it in the privacy of his own structure. So I can't tell all parents not to let their kids be who they are and what they want to be. What I can advise all parents to do is teach your kids to be structured and respect the people and look around and look over your shoulders and make sure you're in an environment to talk the way you want to talk amongst yourselves with people that you can talk that way with. I don't have a problem with the way. That's the reason I had to think of. I used to be that brother that walked around, and if you said that to me, it was going to be some action, you know. I grew up that way. My parents instilled me, don't let nobody use that word to you, like.
Because of what it meant to them.
It was a defense for me, being a southern country boy out in the woods, white boy saying the word to me, we gon'.
But I don't know, because even today, it's still them walking around that has that attitude. It's like, you a dumb nigga. Like, they look at us like we're niggas.
It's
That's
context,
what I'm
though.
saying.
You're right.
Right, and
It's
because
who taught it.
Because it's no different of how they used to look at us and call us black
But
people.
it's who's taught it.
We sitting around here calling each other black.
It's who taught it, though, Nairobi. It's who taught it. Like, that's literally what it is. It's a taught method of life. It's something that some people keep alive.
Yeah, taught and
I
learned.
worked for the last crew, and I worked with a little white boy that was 20 years old, 21 years old, looked at me like a king. Like if I touched the ladder, Kyle would go get the ladder. Don't go up the ladder, Joe. Because he looked at me as an elder.
Yeah.
The guy who was my manager, was right up under me, was saying racist things about me to Kyle. Guess whose side Kyle was on?
Yours.
The white boy comes to, yo, bro, I need to let you know in the house they talk.
That's a super
Get up on
important
that.
distinction because things are so they are more. Things are more melded together than they've ever been in the history of just the country alone, right? But there still are. I mean, I'm married to a white woman, and I have a biracial son. And
Why would you ever use the word?
And so it's 100%. And so the thing that I'll put it to you this way: why that exists, and it is prevalent. Right? People say, "Oh, it's not as much." It is still a prevalent issue. Racism, the act of hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
What is not being taught, and I mean by us, this generation, us, which is hardly. I still feel like I'm 25 in my head, right?
No, you're not.
Exactly, but I'm not exactly. And the point is, that's why I started going to schools. That's why I started doing mentoring. I was like, I remember, as angry as I used to be, I was so confused, bigger, stronger than everyone. I was like, I remember. That's what clicked all those years. I was like, I need to go teach some young men who are just as angry as me and don't know why, and the self-talk in their head. Saying the N-word is the lowest thing. That ain't even on the radar, right? Like the way you feel like I'm not good enough, this, that, and the other. That's why I said, like, look, give me a family that will cuss me out, do that. But my point is, literally having that happen, come like Tariq, your boys. I'm not putting on the air, but your boys literally taught me how to be a father to my son, right? And it was not because they were smarter than me, those idiots. They showed me my mistakes, right? And I'm telling you that does not exist. And I don't know if it's the N-word. I would love to see it go away, right? I would ideally, but there's no structure in place to catch the boys and the young ladies who literally don't know any better. Because I was one of them.
And I respect your view. I respect his view.
Yeah.
But being someone to where I literally got friends, some real close friends of mine, and it's our little pack.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I go to my boy Kitty Boo house right now, I'm telling you that's my nigga. Like you can say what you want to say, that's my nigga. Like I'm walking over with my nigga like
There's no negative.
That's straight love.
Yeah.
That's straight love. Now I might change my setting and say I don't want to do that, but who am I to tell him that he don't have a right to feel the way he feels about it?
But you're using it in that
In love.
context as a term of endearment.
Which this is what I'm saying.
But that's what we did to turn those lemons into lemonades for me. And I grew up and I say it. But the core of me can never get with it. I'd rather call you my son, what up my dude, what up my guy. It's just that the whole birth of us hearing that word was something that was to teach us to not love ourselves.
It has done its damage. It has done its
to
damage.
degrade ourselves, and that's why it's repairable. But that's why we act the way that we act, because they made us, and it was just passed down generation to generation to generation. And I understand what you're saying. We don't have the Fred Hamptons. We don't have the Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X. We don't have the black leaders to say, listen. It's chaotic in here, in our house. And when I mean our house, I mean in our community. It's chaotic all over across the board. It's chaotic in here, and it's some things that y'all need to sit down and y'all need to listen. You need to know your history. You need to do this. Because I always write about that. If you don't know where you came from, then you don't
know where you're going.
You don't know where you're going. And you're going to keep going around in circles. Right. You're just going to keep going around in circles, getting treated and looked upon any kind of way.
The bottom line of it feeds the parenting.
Yeah.
It feeds the parenting, which is where that spoon came from in the back of your neck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I commend you, and I know you hear me say this again, but I'm a great parent. I pride myself on being a great parent.
Yeah.
And for you to tell me what you went through and how you feel about your boys, that's words of a great parent. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do nothing for what the world does around us. We're not responsible for the world.
Right.
You're responsible for only your world, the path that you have to walk in.
Who ain't responsible for their world? Why you think I got these? That's my goal. That's
Exactly.
like what Julie said, we can sit here and talk about it, but I'm just one.
Yo, them books, boy, them some powerful books right there. Trust me, I know.
Just get one.
But see, the director of that is that, again, the way to, and I ain't going to say ever, the word's never going to leave. It's never going to leave. Don't ever think that y'all going to make that word disappear.
Yes.
But there's a minimization that can be put to it. And the minimization that can be put to it is start living right. You know,
And seeing people.
I mean, look at me. Look, I'm a prime example though. Look at me. I say the word all the time. I done told my son that, nigga, you better go sit your ass down. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I done said that to my son a million times over.
Yeah.
My son doesn't use the word.
Because when did
It's parenting.
That's the juxtaposition.
When he was younger and he
That's a great
tried to get out there and do it, I explained to him why it wasn't so bad. And he said, you know what? At a certain age, your child becomes a young adult, and they have a right to make a decision for how they want to live their lives and how they want to speak on their own. Like, I love Tariq. I love Tariq to death. Tariq is one of my favorite friends to sit down and talk to, because Tariq speaks to me with the highest of respect. Nothing in between. Like, I never have a comment. You can't tell me nothing. Tariq don't do me that way. He'll ask me something, and he'll wait and listen to my response. Kiba, I tell you all the time, you're one of the best parents I ever, especially being a woman raising boys by yourself, one of the best female parents I've ever met my entire life.
It changed my paradigm.
But it don't happen that way. It don't. I really wish, if you my sister, you know I love you dearly. I wish I could just say, hey, look, everybody, y'all stop using the word nigga, but I'm not, but y'all stop using the word nigga. Y'all not allowed to use the word nigga. Kiba told me to tell y'all that. But it's not going to happen, honey. Realistically,
I know that. I know, but it's like something has to change. Something like something. I was telling Miss Arlene as far like with the nonprofit. Once we get it up, I'm not gonna say if. Once we get it up and we get to that level of being able to do something for the community, you know, the community that we want to shoot for is Portsmouth, because everybody else has someone like Chesapeake definitely have money and they helping their kids. Virginia Beach, even Norfolk has stuff set up, but Portsmouth doesn't. So it's like if you don't have anything set up for children, then...
And you got to go about it the smart way. Because I'm huge on community. I'm huge. These babies, shit, tell you, these babies down the street come running in the house and hug me in this neighborhood. You know, that's how I grew up. We had a candy lady on our block.
Yeah, you used to have that.
You go get the little freeze cup, you know. Like, we didn't go down to the corner store and spend our money at the corner store. There was a lady on the block that had candy. I know Queens, I know Brooklyn, I know how life is. Like, we need to get rid of social media. Like, if you really want to get rid of the word nigga, get rid of social media first.
What you gotta think about?
Social media, if you take your child and take social media away, see, my problem with people is they give it to them as babies and they don't know how to control it. When Jaden was little, social media, Jaden was born in 2001, of course he wanted to be on the phone, he wanted a computer, but that was my way to raise a good scholar. If you want it, you gotta earn it.
You're right, because for us it was movies. Because you can think about the 70s movies where they used the N-word, the pimps and all that. You dumb nigga, come on, I want my money, stuff like that. But back then our parents was like, yeah, this is nothing, you can't watch this movie. That's how my parents were. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting here thinking like, growing up with our music, like, you know, our generation of music, even when it comes to the rap, because Dino like, well, y'all had this. I was like, yeah, we did have that slutty type of rap, but but we still had those brand Nubians. We still had the poor righteous teachers. We still had something that we could look up to.
But those weren't as successful as the ones that were paid all
right.
the money.
Different
You could say all
even,
of the negative,
even with the sitcoms
to keep us in a box.
Different
It's done by
element,
design.
total different element. That was before.
But back then we had leaders
those
too
are
that was
forefathers to where they were able to. Those were the people who gave them the rights to have the freedom to speak the way they're speaking right now in music. It is the poor righteous teachers. It is the Rakims and
Right,
Airbnbs.
100%.
Right,
But they're not grossly wealthy.
No, they didn't make no money off it. There was no money even in the game back
Here's
then.
the crazy
but I
part.
told
I'll tell you
you
this. I
before
thought for myself, and I mean this. I said this as a joke. And Karen was like, "What?" And I go, "Listen, a girl I used to work in the shipyard. She left the shipyard to started an OnlyFans, and I'm like, what are you starting an OnlyFans? I mean, I didn't look at it. I was just like, what are you starting an OnlyFans for? And she literally goes like this, sends me an email on work. She was making $17,000 a month. I was like, how can I start an OnlyFans? that's, and I'm talking at 35 years old, or whatever, 38 years old. I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, that crosses my mind huge.
Yeah.
And now she's making way more than that. However, she can take some of that money and get counseling later, right?
Yeah.
My point is,
Because she gonna need it.
because my point, right?
Maybe so.
But
She might be the doctor later.
And what I'm saying is, it's the same thing. I'll tell you this: like social media is today what crack was in the '80s, right? It is, and
Carries the same weight.
it's just as powerful. It's actually even more powerful because literally one of the things that Tariq we picked me up Thursday. I'm coming from DC. One of the things he was saying, and this is a young man, no felonies, the best worker in one of the hardest positions in the jobs, right?
In a big building.
In a massive facility, right? It's national. He's the best worker. I have all these positives. Going back to the school, and all the stuff he has going, says, I feel like I'm not doing enough. For as an example, I'd like to be doing more, because that's his natural drive, right? So we're trying to talk through that. You turn on social media, friends got this going on, friends got that going on. And it's just constantly inundated showing you that you are not measuring up to that, right? And so I'm saying that crack is just y'all on this street corner or in this crack house, and it's just y'all. You hear stories, but the social media is showing you in your face you are not measuring up, and there's no way you're measuring up.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what social media has done.
Yeah.
And like after a certain age, you don't have no jurisdiction over social media with your kid because actually that's how they're getting educated in school.
Yeah.
So I can see that. But like your little ones, the ones you got that are little within that age, like structure needs to be taught to children before you release them to the world. Basically, that's how you keep it down, structure. Like, if you're going to give them something to that degree to they should learn from it, they should be learning from it. And if they're not learning from it, they should have it in their hands. I literally...
Well, you don't come to my house to see no little
Well, the problem is...
hands holding any gadgets.
Well, the problem is that, and I'm honestly, world, I'm going to speak to the world, and the problem really is that when me and Junior were talking about this earlier, we didn't let doctors start putting so much medication and so much scenery out here, and that people are self-diagnosing themselves to where they don't even go to doctors no more. They look on the internet and they look to see if they got that same feeling that the internet says, and I got that problem. So now they've taken social media and use that for a calm till you stop being parents. You're in the store, you're walking through the store, your baby's acting an ass, instead you sit your little ass down there and fuck you up.
I did that last week.
You want to hand them the phone, because you know they get the phone, they start playing the game, they're going to get quiet. But you know, they got the same capability to hit one letter, a B, a C, a D, and a dick come flashing in their face.
Crazy.
Or the word nigga starts coming up with the name over and over again. So it's the reality of, as a culture.
You said that social media, that's worse than crack.
Yeah, it is. It is. Social media is way worse than crack.
Wow.
My kids used to hate me for that because neither one of them got a cell phone until they were 16. Because I was like, wherever you're going, I know where you're going, and I know what time I'm coming to pick you up, and you know our designated pickup spot. I have always said, and I know people think I'm crazy when I say this, social media is a ploy of the devil. And if not used correctly, it will corrupt minds.
One
and
single
I have
mistake.
I have seen way too many get, and like you say, it's an addiction. And it's like you're always trying to one up. I don't even have a social media platform at all. I'm probably the only person in the world that doesn't.
No, you're not.
I don't.
No, you're not.
People are like, oh, sending me this. You know I don't have Facebook. Sending me, you know I don't have Instagram. I don't have, because I'm like this, like you said, you're looking, it's a falsehood. Nobody has a perfect life, but people are going to put on their persona as though they are.
You don't ever
So
see.
people are trying to live up to unrealistic expectations. And that, again, is a gateway to other damaging things. Because with Tariq, I know how wonderful Tariq is. He's amazing. The modeling, and what did I tell you when I saw him modeling?
He's okay.
He's amazing.
The risque.
You gotta have somebody bring him back down. That's who I am.
Yes.
He's all right.
Same here.
But when I talk to him, he's very humble. And that's what I'm saying. I like that about him. And then for him to be sitting there questioning himself and should I be doing more because of what he's seeing other people do, I always say to thine own self be true. And as long as you're doing what you need to do, because everybody has a different path. But if you're looking, you're trying to be a cookie cutter, that's not going to work. God broke the mold when he made each and every one of us. And we all have an individualized purpose. But go ahead.
It's what you said about it being the devil. Now, just like Junior said he reads, I have a friend named Kevin. He reads, he watches a lot of documentaries, he watches a lot of stuff. And I remember one time him and I were riding, and he was saying this, he said the same thing Junior said, but Junior said it like heavy, that it's literally worse than crack. He said he saw a documentary where it was set up, it was designed for that, because he said when they started the social media, they literally had psychiatrists and psychologists come in.
Social media was created to replace people.
For them to design it, for it to be that way. Now that is literally like you're setting people up. That is the devil.
So I don't want to. So I agree with all of these points. say the word myself, but N-word, like,
Come on, nigga, say it.
it was coming right now. Hold on. So, I was like, boy, you better, man, I'm about to lose it. But I think it all, like, it may seem like we're kind of jumping around, but it all kind of comes into it. It absolutely does. And, like, there's a guy, a Dr. Juwanza Kunjufu. And, I mean, just look it up. Juwanza Kunjufu. And this guy said something in the 80s that stuck with me this whole time. Like, it's why I talked about that book I'm writing about. Black people you should know that don't. And then it's literally the biggest words it's going to say. It's going to say black people you should know. Well, the one that is going to go that aren't athletes or musicians. It ain't the shit on athletes or musicians, right? Like our entire culture.
That's what we taught.
Is driven to. Look, I'm 6'5". Everyone told me, hey, do this. And like I said, my mama, she told Tariq and Amir, they were like, she said, I didn't know if my baby boy was going to be a drug kingpin or an engineer because I was so open to the idea, right? Like, I was like, whoever's talking to me, I'm down, like, like whatever. Right? I didn't have, even with both parents in the house, right? I was like, whoever's talking to me out there, I want to be cool, I want to fit. These kids don't have the parents, dad ain't there maybe, mama don't care maybe, right? Or they just free to go on their own, or both. And they go out to this world, and then even if they don't go out into this world, all they have is social media tell them,
that's what's crazy.
Do this. And my point is, there's not, it goes all back to the structure of like having something to say, hey, you can come here if you don't want to be the gangster, and when you're in your neighborhood, because I've been in D.C. for the past year, right? I've seen 3-year-old boys, it pulled at my heart a little bit, the 3-year-old boys getting onto the metro, with a 7-year-old older brother or 7-year-old younger sister, they get on the metro, they know where to go. I remember my first week there, my first day there, girl got stabbed to death. I'm going to the grocery store. I jumped behind, just military training, right? Jumped behind a wheel well because they were shooting. I was like, whoop, everybody's running this way. I was like, man, is this DC? I get up, go to the grocery store, and girl ran in. They was 13 years old, stabbed another girl who was 13-year-old to death, right? First day when I got my place there, right? And the next week, I see the little kids, 3-year-old, 2 or 3-year-old, and he's walking on diapers, just dirty as hell. And I followed the kid, but the 7-year-old was so street savvy, 7 or 8-year-old, I mean, he was young, right? So street savvy, I walked him, my apartment goes this way, straight ahead, I went to the right just to follow him, I was like, because there was weird older dudes walking around too. And this kid got in, kind of rushed in, and said, get away from me, you weirdo! Like, he slammed the door, right? And I was just following him to make sure they made it so I was like, oh, I guess I look weird as a bitch. I was like, but
that's what struck up inner city kids.
And I'm saying, like, there's nothing. So what I ended up doing, remember so every Monday they have this like cheap chicken Monday or whatever. Like you get all this chicken for like.
Don't eat the chicken. Have you seen they?
But what I'm saying is these boys were stealing it, right? They call it a run route. Like they make a bunch of noise. Boys grab the chicken, they take off and run it. And one of the security guards grabbed the guy. And I'm just talking about the structure that's needed for us that we don't currently have. And it's not on the fathers or the mothers. It's our community. Our community does not have any structure. Like we were talking about Joe earlier.
Yeah.
So my point is, boy comes out, he got caught dead to right. I was like, oh, he's done. And he's like, I wasn't gonna steal it. I was like, oh yeah, I told him to get that chicken. And I was like, I'm paying for it. He goes, and the security guard's like, what? So I went and paid for the chicken. I said, get 2 more. I meant to get 3. I didn't want to walk my fat ass in here. This, that, and the other. I made all this whole story up. Come out, and this boy, he's sitting there. This Jermichael, I can't remember this boy's name to say my life.
But you made a difference.
But I sat there, and I said, here, take this whole bag of chicken, man. You got it. I'm taking one for me since I paid for it, motherfucker. You know what? And he sat there, and he's just eating this chicken. But he's like, me and you. I was like, so we're talking, and he just went, sitting further and further away. He goes, he knew. He's like, there's got to be something you want to do to me or something. He didn't trust it. I was like, look, man, I'm not a weirdo. I know how I sound. I know this people ain't.
No, but you made a big difference in his life.
Every other Monday now. I'm leaving DC now, right? But he would come with more and more people. I ended up having to buy like 5 or 6 bags of chicken. I was like, I'm glad this shit is $6 a container. But the boy's sitting there, and he had some legit ready to go boys that were also coming to eat. And I go, He said, man, just sit and listen to him, man. He's just trying to tell us what we can do with our lives. And I was like,
See, that's what I'm saying.
and
Wow.
but that boy
The impact of that.
who was about to get a record, it only cost me $10 to sit and get the record, and now he's sitting there, and I'm talking about his boys would float around me. I'm like, hey man, I was like, listen, if you try to steal on me, I'll cut.
But you know the greatest thing about your story, about you even telling that,
Right.
and that happened almost by your house with me with some young boys in the store.
Yeah.
Is that your eyes were open,
Yeah.
you was aware to your surroundings,
Yeah.
and you made action. When we grew up as little boys,
Yes,
even when you was a little boy,
Yeah.
men were that way.
And that's
Now men want to turn, and you
don't want
look.
the headache.
We're men are responsible. Us as black men, we're responsible for all black children. We have just as much weight as the mothers have.
Yeah.
And if we go around society, not calling it when we see it, if you let these little young boys think that you're scared of them, that you fear them, then they're gonna come at you that way.
There's a great story my grandmother used to say all the time about, and I'd hate to take up all the time talking, but she used to say this all the time. Like it's in Africa. I can't remember, right? Let's say Kenya, for example. They had these two bull elephants. The father and the mother died. They got killed by poachers, right? And this is a real thing. This happened a couple times. So these 6-ton elephants are running around. It's just boys, right? Running around, killing everything. Rhinoceroses playing, crushing people, everything. This is a real life thing happening in the 90s and another time in like 2010.
We still talk about niggas.
Yeah, we still are. But my point is, well, what happened? These boys, so literally, what the wildlife reserve, what they were going to do was kill these elephants, right? And so what an elder, one of the caretakers, he's like, no. He's like, we need to go find a bigger, meaner elephant and bring him in here. An elder elephant, he was about 12 tons, right? We know one that he doesn't move, he doesn't play around. So these boys are like 10, 15 years old. This older elephant's like 25, right? Comes in, they fly in this elephant, and these two elephants, the young boys, try to take out and kill. They're like, oh, we got to ride, we're going to take them out. And what the older elephant did, he just crushed them both. Bang, bang. And they sit down. He's like, all the killings, all the stuff that happened. And what a lot of people don't get told this story, the reason why men are so important, whether they're in the home or, and the CDC says black men, I don't talk about this shit all day. The CDC says black men are the most involved. It's just there's no structure for them to lead how they know how to create young boys into men. Like, what needs to happen is creating, hey, look, you can say the N-word or not, because Khalil would say it, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, and his idiotic friends would definitely say it, but my point is,
I'm gonna say it.
no, that's what I'm saying. And so they would test me, like, oh, are you offended? And then, you know the things how I talk in response. I was like, dude, I'll make you bleep, right? And they would, what? I said, oh, so you don't like that? It's like, it's this mutual respect, and that's what's kind of missing to be taught, like you were saying. Like, I think all we have to do to resolve it, people are going to stop using those words when they're left to their own devices, when they're not left to their own devices, right? I know it's a tangent, but I think that's the wildly important part. You were talking about the community and setting up something like this poetry thing you're talking about. I'm thinking it's like, oh, just artists who want to just talk. I don't care. That's not me.
No.
I'm a math guy. But when you're talking to the point we were earlier, like, this is community. You bring some boys in, and this is the power of women. Like when I said I was getting hyped about what you said, that women do not know their power. Young ladies do not know their power because all they see is, I like this boy like this. But when a young lady, like trying to tell Daya, I was like, when you tell a boy, hey, I want this, and he likes you, he's like, man, I gotta go get it, bro. I was like, that's that. But young ladies don't know that, and it's all part of the lack of structure that we don't have. And I think, we use the N-word, I think that would help. You said minimize, I think.
Yes.
I think that is the perfect term, and I think the only way you can do that is exactly what you said earlier. That structure has to be created, because
I'm gonna give y'all some stats, and I'm gonna let y'all know something that's crazy, right? So do you know, as a race, as a culture, that black people in the 1970s, we were the most united people in the whole world for as husband and wives, raising kids at home. Because of social media, we went from being the most prominent, culturalistic, structured race out of all races. American black people. It's not African black people. It's not all the other black cultures they have, Cuban or whatever, all these other cultures. American black people the 70s. Amongst even white people, we had them beat out.
I read that. Yeah.
So we went from that structure to now, at this day and time, in the 20th century, because of this, we're the last ones on the list. There's no unity amongst. It just got so bad. And look, fellas, I know y'all hear me because I'm only speaking. I can't speak for the ladies because I'm never going to speak for a woman because I think black women are powerful and they got a big voice for themselves. And that's what I love about black women. I don't care if they're lesbian or straight, they unite together. Trust me.
You're the West Coast, yeah.
You know, and that's just it. Like, we gotta erase it all. We gotta just stop trying to be idolized as one, individualized as one. Like, as women, men, straight men, great gays, and not like, we all gotta cut that out, look at the color of our skin, and stand together and united as one big structure.
That's just like on social media, all that women this and men this and women this.
Oh, I get it all the time. And
it's keeping us divided. Women this, women this.
I got gay children. I ain't talking about, I'm not talking about gay. I'm saying, but black gay children, like they do the same thing. Like the fact is, the more we let the outer element of social media break us down, break the component down, then we start idolizing each other and start turning to individualize each other. And now you're not just a black man because you're a gay. Now you're a gay black man. You're not a black man no more. So you're only gonna speak for those people over there. You're gonna forget about those little boys in the neighborhood that you came up with. Yeah. You're gonna forget that you came up that way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm just talking just in general. Like when I'm talking, and if anybody know, you know I'm a world person. Like I'm not just about. Like, let's fix the whole damn world. Don't be out here talking this shit and you ain't fixing the whole world. Because you just talking shit to me if you say, okay, well, it's okay for them to have girls and boys bathrooms. Man, you know if they told me when I was a kid I could have went in the girls' bathroom where I would have been hanging out there.
I'm like, hey, girls, how y'all doing? That's right. Y'all need something? That's like...
people call in the bathroom. What's those people call the ones that serve?
I'll be the guy outside the bathroom.
The draping thing.
Yeah, I'll be the bathroom with the perfume and everything.
You need some mix.
But you touched on that. It's smoke and mirrors and distractions is what a lot of this is. And I'd be so happy when we come to that realization because it's like it's so much going on, but it's like the most minute thing gets the most
attention.
Magnified.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's so great to you look at it, but a lot of people, see, I'm one of those people, Miss Arlene, and let's be honest, I get in the room and people go, you talk a lot, but then I realize
yes, God.
I got eyes. And my eyes are my ears. I didn't grow up in a world where I only rely on my ears to give me structure. Because what you see in front of you is the very truth. I don't care how bad you are. I don't care what your eyes tell you. And if you don't have eyes, then your ears become your eyes. But
that's one thing my dad said. He was like, you should listen twice as much as you speak. And I, to this day, remember that. And my grandmother used to always say, when you see a train, you'll notice the noisiest one is the emptiest one. So I try to be mindful of those whenever I'm interacting with people. And I'm like you. I'm an observer. I take in the room. And I go, okay. And then
you put it together.
Analyze,
Because your ears and your eyes, you can be looking and hearing something, and actually two different messages are coming. It's what's in front of you that's actually true. Like if you know that car is coming dead at you, you're gonna move out of the way, right? How'd you find out? Damn, so close your eyes and see the ears so tell you that car ain't gonna hit your head. You feel what I'm saying? But if you to think about how smart you are as a human, and this is a gift from God. Because if you lost your eyesight and you still walked around that corner, you will hear that car coming. Your ears are gonna turn into your eyes. And I know that factually because I grew up in New York City. I've seen blind people walk around the city all day long. Go to jobs and everything, you know what I mean? So it's the fact of, and I think we broke it down, and I appreciate y'all being here, because it's wonderful to have y'all.
The underline and break it down is community. Our community. We don't have that structure.
It's gonna fix it.
Right.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully, we don't have that structure.
You hear my nigga?
Of the leaders that we had, I would say from the leaders that we had from the early 90s on back. We had shows like Hillman and all of that, and it's the ones that would advocate for us. And out here, like you said, nowadays, people turn an eye. But back in the day, in my community, we were doing something, the older people gonna say something. They gonna say, "Now watch when your parents get home."
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
You know, something that's hard to think about is I was actually arguing with one of my homeboys a couple months back, and he goes, you know, we say like we've lost that community, and it is our generation. He's like, we're the ones who stopped being the community, if that makes sense. Our age group, right? I'm like, that's kind of makes me defensive, right? Like, it makes me personally defensive. Let me go fuck. Oh yeah, I guess.
No, but honestly, like I watch, being my age, I watch the black male structure get broken down.
Yeah.
And I will say again, I know that this played a part in it. I know this played a part in the education part of it, where it left a lot of us off the boat, because a lot of people still today. I'll be 60 in August. I know a lot of people my age that are afraid to embrace this. They
100%.
They won't even want a smartphone. They still want the flip phone.
Yeah.
They my age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was out, like she was just saying, she don't even have, like, I was taught to take the risk. Like, that's what my parents always taught me, like, jump out there, learn as much as you possibly can. But it's, again, as an individual parent, it's up to us to figure out what this devil is, because they're going to give us a devil. They'll give your child a gun at 8 years old. If he wanted, he'll go out there and fight a war. There's countries that do it.
Yeah.
They'll give your son a driver's license at 12 years old if he can go in there and pass the test, and he'll be out there drive. They will give your child the devil, but it's up for us individuals as black people to realize what we have in our hands and how we won't let it structuralize our lifestyle, especially with our kids.
Dang, Judy, he said that. I'm listening to you, but I'm thinking about what he said about our generation. I'm like, that is true.
Yeah, y'all were the missing. Y'all the one that said that.
In the 90s, you know, we were still kids, still teenagers. It was certain stuff.
Internet kind of. So
Yeah.
I was one of the first. I went to one of the first schools in the world that got the internet. Right, it was like '95. Talking about the elite mess again, right? Got money. So I
Back when they had color screens.
Yeah.
So now they have color screens.
Exactly. So I'm doing all this typing and learning all this other stuff, and and I'm like, and then my dad would be like, "What is this?" I mean, just military, right? He's what is this? Well, how you doing? X, Y, Z? Because where he came from, he's like, people that just come to our house, and he's like, so now I got the internet, and you can just look at whatever you want to. He's like, no. And I even joke with the boys, like, hey, look. When I was trying to look at some odd stuff on TV, like porn or something, you had to like shift the antenna kind of for 3 seconds to see something. You don't even have to type it in nowadays. Like they just say boobs. And
that comes up.
And it comes up and like, how many you want to look at, right?
Yep.
And so it's
big ones, little ones.
They give you options. That's not the point.
Now, isn't that ironic when you're sitting there looking at something, because I'll type in things in the search engine, and before I can even finish typing it, it already has it up, and I'm like, wow, so now, literally reading my mind.
It's just data, right? So all of this is data, then there's algorithms for that. That's actually part of my job, right? But my point is, to that point, it is everything's information. And this is why it's so important to have this community. Information became more valuable than oil in 2017, officially. That's when they stopped, like, they're like, hey, tell us more of what you want. Tell us everything. Here's this random survey where they sound, this sounds like a nice human being. But what they're doing is you're telling them your tendencies and everything else, right? And now these kids, that's the part you're talking about, just unadulterated access to the internet. They're going to know
it's going to be worse once they get
it's going to be crazy. Like, it's not even that Sexy Red is wild, disgusting, right? It's not even that. It's that those are the only forms of success
that they see.
And kids operate solely. I got a 4-year-old son now, and I'm learning. As much as I curse, I can't curse as much because some kid took my son's toy and he goes, "Bitch!" And I was like, and I watched it on video and I laughed my ass off. And Karen was like, she's like, "Junior." I was like, "Oh yeah, hey man, you can't do that." My point is, I'm still learning, right?
I can help you out with that. I had that situation.
And so now imagine this, and my boy has structure, right? In every aspect of his life. Now imagine a kid who sits there like, I gotta go get it myself, right? I have to. No one's gonna do it. What's the path of least resistance? Act a fool, dropping the N-word as much as I want. Don't matter, right? You can't convince them. Otherwise, and now there has to be. We're missing structure. Yeah.
You don't know the crazy thing, not saying that she is, but you know they'll take somebody and make this persona and push her out there. She could, She could be a whole female that came from the suburbs. She could have went to
Who's
Harvard.
Sexy Red?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
But she's not
She
hood.
But I'm saying
She's not a hood girl at all.
But,
She's
Yeah.
but no, I know. But what I'm saying is that it's done on purpose.
Oh, that means,
On purpose.
but I mean,
Now
look who
imagine this.
Look who she looked up to though.
Imagine if Sexy Red, Little
Sexy
Kim.
Red.
But what if she?
What I'm saying, Sexy Red is just a
Person.
extension of Little Kim.
Who she looked up to?
But listen to this though, because if you know the industry, a lot of times those rappers, they come in the industry thinking they're gonna go this way, and they tell them no.
That girl Sukiana.
This is what we want you to do, and if you do this, this is the amount that we're gonna give
No, but they
you.
don't control that anymore.
Listen. That girl Sukiana did something during COVID.
We talking about the video
That
she
brought,
cried.
no, this is what she did. She was one of the first people that got an OnlyFans page during COVID.
Yeah.
She started it basically, and Sexy Red them all saw that.
But who's the one that did that crying? She did a live video and said she was crying. She didn't know what she do.
But
She feels
listen,
bad now.
She
that's
started
called
it.
consequences.
Sexy
Right?
Red them all saw that.
No, I'm not talking about the OnlyFans. She was on
That
video
Suki girl.
That's
crying.
Suki you talking
She's the one
about.
that was
She
crying.
sold her soul.
That's
But my
Suki.
point is,
I don't know none of that.
but here's my point though, right? Like if they can go, and most of them are independent, or they go to these little crap deals, they do it on themselves, right? Because YouTube is one of the most powerful things that's ever created.
Hell yeah.
The camera has changed everything in our society, policing everything, right? So my point is, one of the points I was trying to make earlier was like, once a girl decides to do that, okay, she has the right to do that. Make an OnlyFans. Some parents actually, you can't change that dynamic, right? The parents are like, yeah, go get that $10 million a year or whatever, right? We'll worry about the consequences later. We'll have the money, right? But when a young lady makes a decision or a young man makes a decision to go off whatever ratchet shit they want to do or wild shit they want to do, there used to be a filter. You have to go through an adult. You have to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
That does not exist.
It was
now.
structured.
And I was going to say
That's
the word
wrong.
is again go back to structure. And I'm saying to you, if there was a person that could sit there and think like, how am I going to do this the most efficient way? Let's create the structure. Let's focus on the structure, and everything else has to.
But see, the world used to be that way.
And it doesn't
When the
exist.
internet was started off,
Yeah.
basically the way the government had, they structured it when it started off. Now they gave you the entire world in your houses at your meetings, and it's not left up to the world no more. It's left up to you as an individual parent to start. That's why they give you all the options to have parental control over your TVs, to do this with your computers, to do this with phones. They give you those options to isolate. The only thing that's crazy about it, I'm gonna tell you like this, I had to learn the hard way, because it comes real quick, is just as quick as you locking that shit up from them, they're studying on how to unlock that shit.
Wait.
Listen. You say that, right? The parental thing. So if we're gonna talk about parental thing, then nobody needs to have half of Disney movies on their thing. Now you know me.
Yeah.
From the time I had to sleep, we camped out in the living room. It's because I overheard something they were watching on YouTube. Now I'm constantly, always, all the time
You
in the
have
living
to.
room with them.
You have to be on top of them all the time.
I have 3-year-olds, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old,
you have to be with them all the time.
and an 18-year-old.
I literally.
We sit and watch Disney movies, and it's like, why are y'all putting this in a Disney movie for a 3-year-old to watch? Like, what's the point of it?
I kid you
So
not.
they're throwing it in kids stuff as well.
I
Because
kid you
the
not.
more you give it to them, the more it becomes a part of their reality.
Yeah.
I personally, I kid you not, had Jaden at a young age put parental shit on certain things that I didn't want him to use. He went on YouTube.
Yeah. You find anything.
Figure out. Hold on. Look what he did though. He figured out how to get himself back in and lock himself in and lock me out. So I could never get in.
I'm just saying
That's why you gotta stay on top of
I'm
whatever
just saying
it
that
is.
at the time it was, but but it's like now, even with, it doesn't come on anymore. They got rid of Cartoon Network. I'm sitting there watching Cartoon Network, but this little bird that's a cartoon character, like, yeah, he's digging in his crotch while he's watching.
But nothing was really like Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network.
I'm talking about during the daytime, Joe.
But they used to censor it. They used to have it to where it was broke down the structure, the way they didn't play
No, it's
things.
But no, because I stopped doing Cartoon Network because I said that was programming as well. You telling me from a certain time of day to a certain time of day is for children, and then
No, I ain't talking about the levels of their cartoons. They used to, when they started putting adult things out in the world, they had a sense about letters. Like we had your XRs. So it used to be you could watch Cartoon Network all day because Jaden used to love it, and it was all stuff that's for that age group.
Yeah,
And they would tell you 7, 8, 9 o'clock, you need to
Gets wide open.
put his ass in the bed. Like you better be in bed. And now, shit, I remember coming in lately just watching Cartoon Network before they got rid of it, and you got full adult cartoons right in the middle of the day.
And kids don't know the difference. They see cartoon,
No.
they think it's a cartoon. But like I said, Disney is something you can. Disney is
A lot of TV is that way though. A lot of TV just
but
watch
Disney is
the
supposed to be for children.
Yeah, a lot of
Not
TV.
anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Remember, like, what we were. This is.
Grooming program.
No, but so here's the thing, right?
Grooming is the word.
When
you
we
said.
were coming up, there were people who are now in their 70s, right, 80s now, right? Now our generation is in those positions of like how things are going.
Don't put me in that category.
No, but that's right. You're 22, and I forgot.
I'm
just joking.
So, but my point is, and that's.
In other words, we didn't give it up. We didn't pass that
That's
toast to you
right.
guys.
Like it's not these like you tell my granny. I was like, actually call her old fogey all the time. She said one time like fogey, what is that? But it's not them anymore. It's our age group that's sitting there saying, okay, and I'm not. Look, my son is my best friend. Right, he is. But
How old is he?
4.
Yeah, you gotta bring him around.
And I will, because but I also, there's some times, because he said something to me yesterday, and I go, motherfucker, and I said, he looks at me, and he had never seen me talk how you know, when you see me angry, right? I go, you don't do that shit, and he goes, now I went from like, speaking like this, and just all curse words, and he goes, starts crying. I said, hey, you can't be soft either, bro, like, you gotta, but my point is, like, I haven't provided the structure, like, hey, look, they're now, he used to do whatever he wanted to. Now there has to be rules in place, clearly, right? Because my son is starting to take off. You tell people, he's like, I don't want that. And he'll go like this. Some lady cooked for him. He goes like this. And she said, how you like it, Dylan? He goes, you don't say that to someone giving you food, but that's
They don't have a
me.
filter.
Right. I was like, so it's just, our generation has to start putting things in place.
You have to structure it.
Because the 18-year-olds, the 25-year-olds now, when they become 40, 50 years old,
Wow.
think about a girl who watched Sexy Red her whole life. We watched Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown. That was kind of nuts. Older folks going crazy. Now taking this to
It's been heightened.
exactly. Now take a girl or guy who's at
Back then it's gonna be all for its own. So the
100%,
only
it's
kids
gonna be-
when that age group come through, the only kids that's gonna be really, really successful out there are the ones that parents that really took time to
that
structure
tighten it up.
and make sure that they went out there and got, because everybody wants the easy way. Like I can't say I'm mad at them. I can't blame them for wanting the easy way out. Like if I get tomorrow, I'm a grown ass man. If I go out there tomorrow and walk outside butt ass naked, I'm gonna get $1 million.
You're going to
I'm
jail.
going. I don't care. I'm going to jail with $1 million though.
I'll take bail. But it's hard to explain to them. It's hard to explain to young ladies like, hey, listen, ladies, you can't act a certain way like you see the dudes, or like just even how young ladies move. Like Dia was talking about. She's like, it's hard to be a decent person when all these girls are doing all this. And I'm like, the answer is I'm gonna tell you like a man's gonna tell you. Like, you don't do that because when you hit 25 and 30, you got far less problems than they got, far less trauma than they got. And the only way you can ever know that is if you continue doing what your heart's telling you to do, which is stay away from it, right? I was like, you're hearing one person who's a man, and she said, well, what? I was like, listen, I'm telling you, these Sexy Red, I don't have nothing against her, but but listen, my point is Foxy Brown, all those.
But for what reason? Like I look at it like this. Honestly. And this again. I want y'all to know this is all about the nigga word. Like, I don't want y'all to fall off the statement because this is how it's taught. And education is most important when you're looking at generations of following generations. Education is the most important thing. Like I got my son upstairs. He wants to be an actor, right? It's up to him to take a role where he has to play something that he's not. But it might pay him a lot more money.
Yeah.
I can't say no. I'm not going to stay in the structure because he's an adult now.
Yeah.
He has to make that decision for himself. I have twin girls. They're in their 30s. They do their own business. They run their own. They're entrepreneurs. They don't really like working for people. They wasn't structured that way. Like it's something to do with the way I came up. Like I always held it down. I always had a side hustle. Dad was always making money, so it's instilled in them. My mom and dad taught me this. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you do it. Whatever you say you're gonna do, be the best at it.
Yeah.
And I instilled that in my kids. So I'm not mad at a section ed. I'm not mad at Sukiana.
Right.
If you're gonna do it, you're gonna take that lane. Go fucking get it.
What's
Get
that
it.
saying? I can't never get it right.
What's it start?
About gaining the world to selling your soul.
Lose your soul. Gain the world to lose your soul. Yeah. But my point is,
That's gonna happen.
it's going to happen. People do that in more legitimate fashion.
You're not mad at the bum out on the corner that's doing that shit on the corner. He's a bum. He ain't doing that. You're not mad at him. I'm just saying, you're not mad at him, though. He's doing the same thing. Like I can tell you, I can tell you, men right now that are they're running away.
I mean, I'm not
Running away from fatherhood, running away from paying child support. They're in some Salvation Army. They won't get a job because they don't want to pay child support. But they know living in the Salvation Army is free.
I'm not gonna say I'm mad. I don't have no respect for that.
What does that do?
And I understand that.
You know what? This is what I told
I don't have
some
no
of
respect
my wife's
for that.
friends. What does that do for that girl's bottom line? Nothing.
I mean, I know she don't care because she's making the money.
But now how you have to fight that is because that's what I learned from talking to the boys. Like, hey, look, if y'all do this, y'all gonna be successful. And they pretty much said, go F yourself, Junior. And I go, oh, okay. So how I was raised is not gonna work with them, right? So now I have to take from their perspective. How do you get these young ladies to understand why you can do this? This is gonna eat you alive, and you don't even know it, right? So my point is, you have to find. It boils down to the word, it's structure, right?
Structure.
You have to provide that in a certain way. Like, hey, look, she's doing this, but give it a couple months, and then, or you not use a Suki.
It's like saying, okay, so you gonna go jump out of a plane, right?
I don't even know what they look like.
You gonna go jump out of a plane. You ain't never jumped out of a plane, right? You never jump, but you gonna constantly keep doing it because this is a road you gonna go down. Like you can't sit down and talk to me. Junior, you just told me, well, Dad, I'm gonna start jumping out of a plane. I'm gonna do that for a couple of years till I get paid a whole bunch of money for it. The only thing I can tell Junior, well, when you jump out of that plane, be safe as you can.
Yeah.
Make sure you pull that parachute. And bro, just on the other side of that, you can't do it forever, Junior, because your legs gonna give out, your back gonna give out. So be prepared for when your back give out. That's the only thing a parent can do for a girl like that. Is give her the best advice. Hey, look, you gonna do it anyhow, because she gonna do it anyhow. Take that money and stack that money. Put that money to the side. Make sure when it's time, because you know, everything, gravity goes against everybody. Your ass gonna fall, your titties gonna fall. So you ain't gonna be able to keep throwing your leg up like that all day.
So I mean, it's a great point.
You know what I'm saying? It really just all boils down to when you see people that, and that's the missing link. Because like we had our generation, because if I know her and she know me, we're probably part of the baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer. And then after that, it's like it lost names. Y'all start getting down to the X, Y, Z's, V's, and double X's, and like, I don't know where they at hell now, but hopefully we can just forget about or move around those culturalistic generations that didn't catch it and start catching up. And it's really not really up to them at the end of the day. It's really up to us.
Yeah.
And I want to commend you because from that one gentleman that you had an interaction with and saved him from having a criminal history, now he's bringing other people to you. So once you get that one, then you get
You don't know what it's
collective.
What do you mean?
So
Man.
the fact that you're doing that and you make it a point every Monday, I'm going to be here, whether you're here or not.
Right.
I'm going to be present.
That's what's real.
That makes all of the difference.
That's
So
what's
I
real.
commend you for
And
that.
so I appreciate it, but it boils down to that word structure.
Yeah, that's what's real. I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm gonna back you up. I went to her house by the dollar store one day, right? And me and her daughter happened went there to buy some candy. It was a bunch of little boys standing there. They had their shirts off.
All day long.
Like, they just walking around the store. I looked at them, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Boy, put on your shirt.
Yeah.
That alone, just being direct, structure.
Yeah.
They put their shirts on, all of a sudden, hey, so what you do? So when you like football, we in the conference, we having a whole conversation back and forth. They walk out the door, they giving me dap.
Yeah.
You know, thank you, Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
Just that, you just can't be scared.
I mean, and then what's crazy is that lot of us are terrified of our own.
You can't be
I've
scared.
I've seen it. Like, remember the old house, those boys, those gangsters that came out, and I had everybody in the truck, and I was like, I feel like it was like a pit bull at that point. I was like, look, man, I was like, you gonna kill me or I'm gonna kill you, but you don't get street credit off beating my ass. So I was like, this is how I sound.
Yeah.
Like, you beat that old fat ass man with the white voice. Like, you don't get no street credit. He kind of sat back and said, who are you? And I go, I'm gonna beat your monkey ass. And
Yeah.
You're gonna lose all credibility. I was like, it's lose for you. And he goes, I was like, I'm trying to get you to not go to jail. And I was like, he said, oh, you gonna snitch? And Marquand, all of them in the truck, I was like, you gonna snitch? I said, no, man, I love fighting. I just don't sound like it. And I said, you a great opportunity. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna take your little ass and beat him to death. And they're like, but then you can see it. Like the guy's like, he's like, look, man, we're just trying to figure. I said, okay, let's talk like men. Like, so they straighten up. And it's just, like I said, it's that elephant. You know, elephants and the old elephant, right? I had that my entire life. And what's missing now is that boys, and I don't mean that men aren't there, because they are there.
They're there.
You have to repair the relationship between mom and
The
dad.
old elephant that's missing.
Right.
I
It
definitely think that as a black culture, we need to like really sit down and have more conversations about black families and put men in the black families, putting it back together again. Like talking to our sons and our daughters and making sure that they understand what unity is in our
First, it
house.
starts
Like,
with the man and the woman coming together and united, and that always back.
but I'm saying that's as they are together. But there are some of us out here that are just single parents. Like I'm a single parent, and I know that it's my due diligence to be fair and honest with my son and let him know what true love really is. It's not even about the color of a person that he decides to be that with, but I definitely want him to understand unity. Oh, that's my son, by the way. That's unity, relationships, family. That's Jaden. Jaden, say hi to everybody. You okay?
Yeah, where's your car? I thought it was supposed to.
I didn't get it back yet. I'm about to hit him up in a minute. I love you.
Love you too.
Sorry about that, guys. He just walked in. My son walked in. But that's the part. That's where the structure really falls into play. Is I would love to see black men and black women coming back together, raising kids together, having strong families together. And if it's not taught, that's the way it was before. Our forefather, like he said, his grandmother popped him with the spoon. If it's not taught, it's that element is never. We can talk about it for days.
If we could just have a community day in every state and make them watch Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, 4.
You know, I've had a young lady to tell me that's what she wants to do, but that's
Hidden
still.
Colors? You know,
No. I'm just saying. I had a young lady that told me she wanted to do that with her life. Like she wanted to structure her whole community, and she wanted to go get a piece of land, and
So
all you're doing is creating that cycle again.
So you know what Tariq? So I brought Tariq. We have a family. We have a farm out there. So I remember the year I brought Tariq and Amir at that summer family reunion right before COVID, and I had an aunt. I say aunt, not aunt, but Aunt Rosetta.
Yeah, that is. That's down
So,
south.
like I said, it's like I said, same won't hear. Like you know, people think, oh, you talking shit. Anyway, but I'm down there. My Aunt Rosetta, she's the matriarch on my father's side, whatever. She's passed now, whatever, right? But I was like, look, guys, it's like when if an older person tells you to do something, shut the fuck up and do it. Then you come bitch to me when we go to the hotel or whatever. I was like, and they're like, and you know, Amir's kind of floats, goes with the flow, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's positive, he's like, go with it. Tariq's like, Junior, I'm a full grown man. I was like, man, motherfucker, there ain't no, you can get buried out here. There ain't nobody gonna come looking for you, right? And he goes, I was like, oh, I know, Tariq stayed in Alabama. That's what I'll tell your mama. And so,
If it till like
so as we sitting there, this is talking about the structure part, whatever, right? And you know, we get in. My aunt was she's sitting there. She's like, hey, come here, you. And I knew she was talking to me, so I come over there and she's sitting right here. I'm standing over. I said, I'm 6'5", and she's just talking crap. She's like, what's going on? Who are they? I said, oh, those are the boys I mentor. She's like, oh no, I know those aren't the boys you mentor. She's like, you ain't got no mentoring skill. Like the old folks telling you how it is, and you can't say nothing back, right? And Tariq and Tariq and Amir are dying laughing because they have never. All the time, no one ever talked to me no kind of way because anyone says anything, I call it verbal assassination. I'll tear you a new one. And they were laughing. Oh, look at she said this, and I can't turn because she's still talking to me, right? And then she's like, are you worried about them laughing at you? I was like, no, ma'am. And I was like, and she's like, and you better not get them back. And I go, yes, ma'am. And she's like, you know what? Matter of fact, get on your knees. You're too tall. I can't see you. So I dropped to a knee, like with no questions, and Tariq just hollers. He's like, oh my God, he's a bitch, you know. I'm sitting there taking this, and but my uncles are all floating around. I have a pretty extensive family. It's like about 200 people show up at a family reunion, all related to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, long story short, she's done talking, and she's like, now go out there and get them some food. I know they're hungry. You doing all this talking. I ain't saying a word. But I was there talking to me, and I'm listening. Go get them some food. So I get up, and Tariq was like, we had a good time. We go back to the hotel or whatever. And he's like, Tariq's like, Junior, why you let her talk to you that way? I said, listen to me. What you don't, and I learned a lot in that. I'm like, what y'all don't understand is although this tiny, frail woman, big mouth, talking how she wants to talk, if I step sideways at all, I got about 7 or 8 uncles.
You got structure to deal with.
That will, I have to go down that.
You got to deal with structure. That's set up.
And I was like, they're all doing work, but they're watching. And if I say anything, and this is since I was a kid, and I was like, I gotta get out of here too, bitch. They might bury me, right?
Remember somebody the other night.
But my point is, Tariq goes, he's like, they were just walking around, they weren't paying attention. I was like, you don't know, and that my point is, on the way back, I realized it's like, I see what they're missing, right? It's like,
No structure.
and it's the same word every time.
It comes
like,
every time.
And these boys are good.
Yeah.
And I was like,